can't remember what it's called, Rock Stars or something like that. And she had this big brochure around saying Laws of Life, Laws of Life. I'm like, who is this? Parliamentary, et cetera, et cetera. So a couple months later, she came by my studio at Grand Star. And I said, okay, we'll talk about some things. Then I was staying at this hotel when I first moved back from DC. The guy says, go upstairs, there are a whole bunch of women buying and selling from each other. I said, that's right up my alley. So I walk upstairs, and of course I've known Sonny for years, and I see Sonny, I'm like, wait a second. Then I start seeing this one and that one, so many people I knew. Then I see Blanca on stage. I said, this woman is, I was like, my mouth's open, man, she's powerful. And ever since then, we've been friends. So I want to bring up and welcome Blanca Greenspan. Blanca!
Blanca!
World's greatest networker!
Oh my, that was such an amazing introduction. And how are you all doing? Let me start off by saying I love Wally, I love you, Caroline, I love Johnny, because you know what, Johnny, you became my brother. Actually, I met you before I met Johnny.
Yes, I met Sonny and you before, Johnny and Stephanie.
That's interesting. That's
we were
very
connected.
interesting.
Yes.
So I feel like we are a family. That's how I truly feel. Like you are my brother. And because you're my brother and he's your brother, that makes you my sister and you my brother. And that's how I want to live my life. I want to live my life where we create a family, we create community, we can create whatever we choose to create.
Yes.
And so my vision and was, I guess it came from my father, he and my mother, because every time my two older brothers did something wrong, my father would say, well, the lesson to be learned here is you need to not interrupt your parents when they're speaking, or the lesson is this, or the lesson is that. And every situation, he would extract a lesson. And so that, I guess that just sort of stuck with me. And he was a doctor and a lawyer. We basically had two choices in our family. You could either be a doctor or a lawyer. That was it. If you wanted to live. So I went with the law because I like to talk. And I didn't want to wear white in a hospital, that wasn't my thing. And if I made a mistake, I didn't want to be responsible for anybody dying. So I said, you know what, I'll go with the law. So moving on to the next slide. Oh, do I need the clicker? Right there. Okay, the clicker. All right. So basically, I would say my biggest influences were my parents, because my father was very philosophical. He was very, very scholarly. My mother was a firecracker. She was a realtor. When she wanted to close a deal, she'd go, what's the matter with you? Sign on the dotted line. Let's go, let's go. So I sort of got a little bit of a combination of both of their qualities, and my vision became to start a show, a webcast, which I started 5 years ago called The Laws of Life, which kind of combined me becoming an attorney with the wisdom of the experiences I had acquired during my life. And I started interviewing nonprofits. I started interviewing amazing entrepreneurs like Johnny. I started interviewing amazing visionaries, whoever touched my heart. Turns out I'm interviewing Denise on Tuesday, Johnny, so thank you for introducing us, okay? So there you go. So just interviewing, and I've been doing that for 5 years. And then you go to the why. Why? Why did I have this vision? Well, every law of life comes from an experience. It comes from pain, or it comes from joy. And I think probably the first breach, the most painful experience, I'll never forget it, was when in first grade. I had a best friend named Tammy. You know who you are, Tammy. No, I'm just kidding. And Tammy said, I'm very sorry, Blanca, but for first grade, I can only have one best friend, and it's Olivia, and you're out. I was like, what are we, on The Apprentice? Okay. But the pain of being excluded, I have to tell you, it's a pain that never left my heart, and it just made me realize that to be excluded is the cruelest thing that you can really do to another human being. And I promised myself from that day that I would never do that to anyone, and I think that's how my vision of the Laws of Life grew. So 2 years ago, I started the Laws of Life International Summit. And every single Tuesday for the last 20 months, I've hosted the International Educational Laws of Life Summit. And everybody in this world is invited. You're all invited. Are you guys fired up about that?
Yes.
All right. So that's where that vision came from. And I would make it my mission to include everyone. To include everyone. No matter what. Whatever their age, whatever they did for a living, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. When people say to me, what's the agenda? What are we talking about? What's the topic? Guess what? It doesn't matter. What matters is that we're all human beings and that we just need to connect and form a community. Are you with me?
Yes.
So that's my vision of community empowerment. So that's my vision, that we all be one community, one family, supporting one another. And when I come to the Global Vision Conference, and I'm here, I really feel so welcome and so warm with family, and I want to thank you for that, for always making me feel so welcome. I'm so grateful for that gift, and I'm so grateful to this beautiful audience, and I'm so grateful to everybody who comes to the summit, and anybody that wants to be interviewed, and anyone that wants to be part of the Laws of Life television network launching in 2022. Are you with me?
Yes.
So, a couple of quick laws of loyalty are, loyalty stems from inclusion, loyalty. So when you introduce someone to someone else, you always want to make sure you invite both of them to whatever events you're having. It's very important. So it's good to introduce other people to other people, but don't forget the introducer. Always make everybody feel welcome. The RSVP rule, if you're going to ask a friend to come to an event with you, be very careful that that's a good match, that you're respecting the person that's hosting the event. You know, law of loyalty number 4, the mitzvah rule. Always try to do a mitzvah, which is in Yiddish an act of kindness. In Hebrew, that if you do an act of kindness, you get a free ticket to heaven. Okay, it's a pretty reasonably good ticket. So always try to do that. Always try to include everybody in the conversation. Always try to find a way. Like this morning, we went to the funeral of a friend of mine who I only met once. He was my Uber driver, Tim. And basically, you know, we met a lot of really new Tim's friends, and everybody was, he had so many people there supporting him. But the point is, always try to think of other people before you think of yourself. Always try to introduce them. Always try to find value. And when you extend an invitation, I want to know where and I want to know what time. Because definitiveness is loyalty. Get clear. You want to spend time with me? Where and when? Don't tell me maybe or maybe in 3 weeks, because definitiveness is a form of loyalty. Commit to the vision and the intention that you set, because that's respect and kindness. And most importantly, be loyal to yourself, and remember to be loyal to your soul and respect the boundaries of what you need as an individual. So there's a lot of concepts in today, but always remember to include everyone, respect, kindness, inclusivity, and never stop loving yourself and thinking of yourself as you continue to serve others. So these are my laws of life. I hope you enjoy them, and thank you so much for letting me be part of today's conference. Woo!